Hello.
Hey.
It is Tuesday, 8 o'clock as always. We are here. How are you doing, Hen?
Yeah, not too bad. Same old, same old.
Same
You?
old. Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, super tired.
It's really tired. I've been doing really so much actually, and yesterday like 4 interviews in total. I was like, oh God, and a book release. I was telling you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've been really busy actually this week, and it's just like I keeps like I was posting today. I think in the Success Alliance, I made an article, and as well on LinkedIn, I was talking about how suddenly we out of the pandemic we came into. I don't know. I feel like I'm catching up on 20,000 things at the same time. And I have way more
Yeah.
burden on me than I used to have. And that is one of the things that I don't like the feeling. I have to be very honest. It's just like, the world was on a still stand for 2 years, and suddenly you're catching up on I don't know everything. And you can't really. I mean, I'm just like I feel like I don't get to where I need to go, and I just get stuck with things. And there's more and more and more coming every day, and you go like, wow. I was quite relaxed during the pandemic, to be very honest, because everything wasn't. I mean, I was busy, but it was all a bit more flowing. And right now, I
Mm.
feel like everything is dropping on me again, and I feel like almost like pre-pandemic again, or even worse than pre-pandemic, because it's just too much actually. And I don't know, it's just like I think I need a holiday.
That would be nice.
Bahamas, here we come.
Oh God, can you imagine? I have
I
to
think.
admit though, I know what you mean. I do. I do. I'm the same. I've kind of because I've taken on quite a lot recently. And you just get to that point, don't you, where you're like, you've got all these things to do, but then you sort of blocking yourself from doing it.
Mm.
And I'm like, what am I doing? And then I'll pick up my phone and I'll start scrolling. I'm like, what am I doing? I've got all this stuff to do. And yeah, 100%. I know where you're
Typical
coming from.
procrastination again. Here
Yeah.
we have to bring that back actually. Yeah, it's just really funny. And as I say, I know how we know how we can get out of it, but it's kind of, I just think it's just this overload coming back. And I think our body has, like, over the 2 years adapted to a complete different setting and more downtime, more relaxed time. We were not out and about all the time. And now we're all back into this,
Mm.
scrambling thing. And I feel like it's not healthy.
Constantly doing something.
Yeah, it is not really
Yeah.
healthy. And yeah, as you said, we're bringing up more and more and more on ourselves, and we start procrastinating again, which is just really so counterproductive, honestly. But hey, that's how life goes.
You just have to remind yourself it's for the greater good, though, don't you?
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done when you're running around like a mad person.
It's like for the greater good, and then you think about and what is about your good.
You'll be burnt out. It'll be fine. Everyone else will just
It's
be,
like
they'll all be loving life. You'll be
check
in a
it.
corner somewhere.
Check in a pony farm actually with a therapist telling you everything is fine.
Straight
And you
jacket
go
on.
like, yeah, right.
Oh, bless you.
Okay.
You'll get there. You'll
You're
get there.
telling that it's like, like focusing on burned out executives. It's quite funny. And I was in like in coaching sessions go like,
If you've not crossed the bridge yourself, Chris, you can't bring anybody else across with you.
yeah, exactly. It's like, motivate yourself, wake up. There are only so much energy drinks you can drink, honestly. But it's just really somehow it's like, and suddenly they all wake up. And that is just what it
Mm.
is. And it's just like, and I find it really, we think like normally it slows down. I think always before Christmas it slows down. And I have actually the impression it's the opposite right now this year. It's
Yeah.
just picking up and it's accelerating and people are reaching out to you. And, it's like, oh, I have already on my own webpage now, I have stopped. Well, you can still do the clarity call, the 30 minutes discovery call, but then
Mhm.
on the bottom it says already you actually fill out your first name and your email address, and it says get on the waiting list when Chris accepts
Yeah.
their clients, because at the moment I cannot take on more. I'm actually at the point where I'm saying like no. And I just created now a webpage for ADHD coaching, for ADHD adult coaching.
Okay.
And I see there's almost nobody here in the UK. And it's kind of funny because when you look at it, the NHS, you have, I know from my own experience, you have 3.5 years of waiting time for actually a consultation with an ADHD specialist. So where do these people go? They can only go to a coach, because no therapist, no ADHD consultant will accept them. If they have already the diagnosis, great. But then again, they get medication, and not everything, and it's on my webpage actually says like, pills don't give you the skills. So yeah, that might be key for, I really I have my appointment on the 8th of December. Listen, I've waited so long for it now. It's great. The medication is a very good support because it will help your brain to build the functions, but it still doesn't solve the actual issues with the task you have to do. So you need to have coaching on that one. I mean, luckily I do have these tasks. That's why I could survive almost 3 years without medication, because I have the skills to actually do this and write down my lists and break it down in smaller things, and don't get distracted too much. Well, I still have my 50 tabs open on my browser, but I at least I do know how to tackle that and how to handle it, and how to sit in the morning down and write down my list, and break it down in smaller steps so I don't get distracted too much. But this is when I'm thinking like, you don't have, or you just got the diagnosis, or you have not even have the diagnosis yet, and you're struggling with all that. If you don't have anybody to actually go to, there are maybe 2 coaches or 3 coaches in the UK that really specialize on adult ADHD. And it's really, it's surprising me. So there's a big business, obviously big market on that one. But then I'm like, I'm scared to release even the web page, because I'm saying like, I am going to be over flooded, basically.
You can't take any more.
It's like, seriously, it's just like, need to find a solution. I'm even thinking about looking out for other coaches that are ADHD specialized or something like that, and get them involved, because you can't physically do everything yourself, right? There's just a limit to it. But hey, listen. That's how life goes. We call for it, we manifest for it, and then we get it, and then we're complaining, aren't we?
I know. You're not complaining, you're just
venting.
Working through it.
I'm actually working through
Healthy.
it. Healthy.
That's what we're going with.
You're just putting it back into perspective here.
Do you know what? That brings you on very nicely to the subject that we're talking about, awareness.
Exactly, awareness.
You having self-awareness of yourself and the situation you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've done well.
Yeah, but you see, this is what it mostly is. People don't have this awareness. And as you say, I love, because you suggested the subject today, is like people walk through life oblivious. Absolutely
frightening.
Oblivious. They don't even have a clue where they want to go. And it's just, every time, and I don't know how that happens to you, you ask the client and he says, so what is your goal? And they go like,
I don't know.
So
but we've talked about that as well, haven't we? They always
Right.
know what they don't want, but they never know what they do want.
And it's just like, Jesus, why are you oblivious of that? I mean, it's like, seriously, but you see, I don't even think that they're not even, I think it goes more to the core already, as you said, is like they're oblivious to who they are themselves. They don't even know who they are. It sounds funny, but it's the truth. Whether you say they have crisis with their own sexuality, well, that's an easy fix already. But but they don't even know anything else about themselves. I mean, that you see with sexuality, they might figure it out at one stage, actually, but then Everything else, they don't know. They don't know what they like. They don't know what they don't like. Well, sometimes they do know what they don't like, but most of it go with 11:11 again. I just really weird. I just looked at the time. It's really funny. It is really funny, and they don't know where to go.
I just find it really, like, until you realize that it's obviously a product of your conditioning, you know, for, sort of from being born, like you're born as a blank slate, aren't you? At the end of the day, you know, you have no idea about any of the stuff that's going on out there in the world or in these families, and you know, you're conditioned into having these beliefs and like and developing these likes and dislikes for things when actually it might not even be what you really like or dislike, but you've just been conditioned into that. I think it's incredible to kind of, when you start to realize that and wake up to it and start looking into it. Like one of my favorite exercises is the beliefs exercise, you know, where you look at sort of, what do I believe marriage is, what do I believe a work is, and you sort of break it down and write all the things in the little boxes as to what you believe these things are. And a lot of it, when you trace it back, is stuff that other people have said, because it's been on a loop, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. Or everything is just because it's been repeated throughout your sort of your history as you've grown up and kind of become an adult yourself. And actually it's not you, which I find it's fascinating.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, conditioning of society. Oh my God, don't get me started. Because here we go. This is just I had yesterday. I was on Lisa Wildner, it's one of the 5 top Avon representatives in the world, not in the United States, in the world. So you know, she has taken in the last 20 years their business to the top of the top, right, at Avon. And I think $4.6 million business actually in her 5th year or something like that. So it's like, you know, she really did well. And one of the things that was really funny, because Brendan actually was in the Go Give Airlines the other day, and he said, he made her a really nice compliment. He said, actually, he loves Lisa because what she did, she wrote down all the business advice that she could get, looked at it, crumbled it up, and burned the fucking paper and did everything else, the opposite of what everybody told. Love her for that, basically. And I really enjoyed yesterday being on her show because we were talking about that, you know, like how she saw, it was not even Avon doing that. She saw, I think she was in Vegas, she said, and she saw a car driving by that was plastered for a completely different company, plastered with this advertisement on. So what she did, she had a van at home. So she plastered this entire van with Avon on it and called herself the lipstick lady, and with the 1-800 number on top. And she was driving around with that. And that's when people actually called her and her business went booming, basically. So she was really thinking outside of the box, not like Avon says, like, oh, bring the catalog to people, get, the MLM where she's doing that. And she says, like, it's direct sales. And that's what it is, actually. It's like almost like Beachbody, basically, the system. But I thought it was really interesting because she was completely out, and that's where is a big proof here. She was completely out of this conditioning that happens. When we talked about Beachbody, when they condition you and doing like thousands of messages and everything, that don't even work. It doesn't even work. It doesn't. Hey girl, how are you? Seen you doing this. Would you like to join Beachbody? No, I don't know. And I was saying to her, and I said, delete. And I said to her, and I said, well, we were talking about it, and I said, well, actually, people buy into you, not into the product, don't they? Mm-hmm. So if they like you and they don't, the problem is what Lisa does, and I love that as well. She's sending cards out to every person that she has on her list. And it doesn't matter even if they're a customer or not. She doesn't even ask herself if they actually going to buy from her. They just going to, the question she asked her, would they like a card or not? So she sends people cards like, like her Christmas holidays and birthdays and everything. She sends them cards. And that's about the go-giver way, actually, to give value to people without even having the thought that they might be a customer or buy something from her. She just does it out of a genuine way. And that's how I think she grew her business way above where everybody else would grow it to. It's because she's been showing up genuine as her, authentic herself. And so she really knows who she is in her core values, what she is, what are her values, what she appreciates, and how other people appreciate her. And you made there a really good point, because most people don't. They absolutely bloody don't. They have no fucking clue what they are, who they are. They don't know if they are left or right or hot or cold, and they just follow the crowd. Whatever the crowd goes for, they go with them. And I'm like, but where is it you? Where is your authentic you? You don't even bloody know who you are and what you are. And that just drives me, for me personally, drives me insane. Of course, I cannot deal with people like this.
It came out really badly, didn't it, during the pandemic, when people were jumping on board of all the bandwagons with the conspiracy theories. And it's dangerous. It is dangerous what these people are doing. And I think that's a big thing to note with it, isn't it? Like having awareness of yourself and awareness of others, because if you just start regurgitating things that you've heard because you've heard it on loop, because you've been watching too much YouTube through lockdown, you know, like that can be super dangerous, and people don't realize, but they just repeat it. Like, it just baffles me. Like, I think because we're aware, I don't believe that we would do that, but it is quite scary that people will just, I mean, one of my husband's friends, oh my God. Like, it got to the point where I was like, he's not allowed around our house when lockdown's done because I can't have him anywhere near me. And it was like, we were all blooming 5G and having implants stuck in us with our vaccinations. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was ridiculous, some of the messages he was putting on the group football chat. But these people, like, because they have zero awareness of anything else, and actually because of their conditioning and the fact that they don't know who the flip they are, nearly swore there. I think I just find it outrageous.
You can swear at this show. It's not censored.
It's a good job, isn't it?
Yeah, this one is not censored, luckily.
But it did really come out.
Yeah. But you see, it's just what it is. I mean, seriously, people, I don't know why people don't have an opinion at all. That's number one, right? I think we're talking back to many weeks where you're talking about the herd mentality, and that's what it is actually is. It's like, I feel like sheep's around me, like they're wearing man, like, you know, all day. Like, sorry, that's what it is. It's like, I was my neighbor. I had a discussion the other day, and it brings it really good to the point, because I was brought it up yesterday with Lisa as well. So we had this discussion. She's saying, "Oh, cats are colorblind," and I said, "No, they're not."
Exactly.
She said, "Yes." I said, "Neither are dogs." Well, I was just at the vet 2-3 days ago with the cat, and she told me she wouldn't even see the Christmas tree lights because she can only see black and white. And I said, "But they're not." Well, if the vet says that, and I said, "Trish, honestly, this is coming from 1947. This is by a woman. I can't remember her name right now. Probably one unimportant, her name. Anyway, I know she was a dog trainer in the United States, and she wrote a book about dog training. And in her book, she had the thesis that dogs are colorblind. They only see black and white. And this book came out in 1947. And ever since, that has been taken as a granted thing. However, science has evolved, and we know by now that a dog can see yellow, blue, green, violet, a bit of orange. Red is not an option. Red is out of the zone. So then the rest is like black and white he sees as well, right? A cat actually doesn't even have the doesn't have the orange zone really. They only go green, blue, violet, and gray and black basically. But they do see in color. They don't see. And then she said, no. And I got really sick of it. So I went Google. There you go. And wait. And then she said, red. Oh my God, when I go back next week to the vet, I'm going to tell her. And I said, this is really fascinating me even more. A bloody vet that has studied the subject says this. So even there must be, I don't know when she studied, but definitely she hasn't looked into the latest research on the matter, which is not even latest research. It is already about 20 years that we know that they are not colorblind. It's not like yesterday it happened that we say, oh, so suddenly we figured it out. But you see, and I actually said at that point, and I made a point yesterday with Lisa, so the bigger the lie, the more people believe it. And I can say that with German heritage. I look at Adolf Hitler. The bigger the lie, the more people believe it. And 100%. Here we go. And that's what it is. And people just take fucking everything for granted. Anything that is said, even on the internet, what is said, the people just like, oh, that's what it is. So, and then they don't even have an opinion. They adopt the opinion of what the masses are writing. And it just drives me really being insane. Why you even see, and that's where I think there goes the educational problem with it already. Not only conditioning, the education problem here as well is like we are creating dumbasses. I'm sorry to say it, by going to the school nowadays. We're creating idiots, literally idiots. They don't know anything about history anymore. I mean, seriously, I mean, 9/11 is maybe the last thing they actually really somehow, and even that, some of them, they do like, 9 what? And like, sorry, I get you're born afterwards, but that doesn't mean, I'm sorry, they ask them about Patreon or whatever, they go like, who? Right, Julius Caesar? Oh yeah, I saw Asterix. Okay, maybe that they got there the education.
Horrible histories.
Yeah, it's
my sister-in-law is a history teacher, and she actually uses horrible histories in some of her lessons because that's all the kids will actually listen to, because they're not interested in what she's got to say. They'd rather watch a kids' comedy program and learn about it. It's crazy.
But you see, it's just, I don't know, okay, and that is where it goes. And the conditioning goes on like this. It's especially the generation, I think, that came after you, that having now children, say, from 1 to 10, basically, these kids, seriously, they don't get anything because their parents they're already mind blinded. And that is the thing, people that are going out on the street and without masks and demonstrating in the middle of a pandemic and saying, oh, I'm the freedom here of my fucking mask, right? I'm like, while the NHS explodes, right? And you see, yesterday I'm watching at the moment on Disney Plus The Resident. So now I'm in season 4, and I love that. It's not like Grey's Anatomy. It's a bit more. There's more intriguing things going on, like corruption and everything. It is about the hospital, and it is a lot of things happening in the hospital, but it's more intriguing things that are going on. So really interesting. So now season 4 is in the pandemic.
Okay.
So they actually filmed that part during the pandemic as well, and you see actually how they show it, how many people come in on that day when the pandemic happens. Actually, that was the last episode that I was watching. They are getting married, and then they say, okay, this was after the pandemic, the marriage, and then they will go back to the 10th of March, where then the lockdown starts to happen in the United States. And So the people coming flooding into the hospital and dying, actually, you can see how they were dropping as flies. They were actually showing that, like literally dying. And I was thinking, like, you know what? Anybody that was just talking about that way, they should have seen that episode, because this was a real reflection of what was going on in the hospitals, right? And I think the biggest problem here was, and I think it's still the biggest problem, is that people don't have a real connection to what happened there.
Yeah.
Unless it happened actually in their own family or things. And I think here in the UK, in the US, it was way more visual, because they were actually allowed in the hospitals. They were filming what was going on. So I think here in the UK, we didn't really see that. But I worked, actually, I did Project Wingman, where the cabin crew, we were serving the NHS staff. The thing, I was in the Wexham Park. I actually opened the Wexham Park in the cafe. I actually organized it all for Project Wingman there.
Oh, we all loved it.
I see.
Because we were at Frimley, weren't we? So.
Oh yeah, you were at Frimley. I was at Wexham Park. See, I was the one that's running it at Wexham Park. So we opened before you. We opened 4 days before you, actually, and then I know the two guys that were running it in Frimley as well. And to be very honest to you, I was seeing them dropping like flies, and I was seeing what was going on in the hospital. And I think people have not had a vision on it.
Yeah.
And that was really, and I think that's the biggest problem here. Why people don't really realize what they're talking about. But again, as you said, conspiracy theories, they go on online, and then it goes like, and that's what's going on. And actually, that was not what was going on.
But that's it. And it is that lack of education and the actual wanting to research it themselves and look into it properly themselves, because they don't want to. It's like they're quite happy. A lot of people are quite happy to be fed this information that is misinformation at the end of the day. Like, I just find it bizarre. Like, but even like you say about schools, like my eldest going through his GCSEs at the moment, and he is very much, he's really down to earth, pretty grounded lad. Like, I've said to him, he's doing his GCSEs because it's expected by the government. That's as simple as that. Like, and he's in line to do really, really well, which is great. But the stuff that they teach him at school, in my opinion, doesn't set them up for anything.
Useless.
I remember absolutely nothing from my school days at all. Nothing. I genuinely don't. And I just feel like we sort of do ourselves a disservice anyway, don't we, as a society, because we're not teaching our kids, the parents are doing what they can, but even then, you know what it's like. If the parents are badly conditioned themselves because of their past, it's just going to pass on, and it's going to go down the generations. And I just feel a bit like it should be in the school system as well, where they should be learning things that are actually useful in their lives, like, because you're never going to break this conditioning cycle, are you? If, we're still doing the same things over and over again. And actually, what does it prove? What is that? Like, what does that GCSE even mean? It means nothing at the end of the day.
That's, and you're absolutely right here, because this is one of the things that really drives me insane when I think about where is that all going? I mean, I already say my age. I don't know. I'm a couple of years older than you are. Sorry, I'm getting old. Yeah, but I'm looking at pension. Fuck the pension, because who's going to pay into it in 20 years or in 15 years time? Nobody. So what am I going to get out of it? I just, I have my own pension plan, but that is because I have seen already 20 years ago that that's where it's going.
Yeah.
And I said, no. I'm not going to be here sitting on waiting for benefits from their side, right? So, but having said all that, it's just, as I said, we're creating idiots. We're absolutely creating idiots.
It's just generations of people who've learned to remember stuff. I don't get it. I just genuinely don't get it. Like, I mean, it's fine when people go on to sort of further study and they're studying things that they're interested in and things where they can actually make a difference in the world. Which is why I've applied for that MSc in psychology, because the brain absolutely fascinates me.
Bit of
But
ADHD, huh?
maybe.
But hey, I get it.
But it does make me really sad that we kind of, these kids just, they don't know any better. I didn't know any better as a kid, but isn't that why, as adults, they're led to people like us as coaches, because they've not been conditioned to know any better, and they've spent years trundling through life, feeling like crap, not knowing where the hell to turn, what's the next step is. Do you know what I mean? I just think we're really setting people up for failure.
But
So,
we do, and that's what it is. It's like, you know, we don't even look into the interior workings of the brain, to be very honest, because at the end of the day, we don't teach them any practical coping mechanisms as well, right? So we look here at ADHD. I find it fascinating, absolutely fascinating, how people, now how the psychiatry industry thinks that everything is fixed with a pill.
oh,
Yeah. So, you know, the child, and it has become almost like, and especially with hyperactivity with children, it has almost become the, how can I say, the mode of operating when a child just acts up a little bit, not because I think it's hyperactive, it's just normal child playing
they're
out the
not
child.
stimulated.
They automatically get classified as ADHD. End of story. And here we go, put them on Ritalin and that will be fine, right? I mean, I got diagnosed when I was 13 or 14, right? So, and that was all in the beginning of the ADHD research, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know, but I mean, I have been reevaluated probably 10 times ever since. And my score doesn't change. I'm actually really the top scale of it. Yes, Ritalin, Concerta, and Adderall helped me a lot in focus and getting my brain calm down actually, and not to race that much. But I still needed to learn skills to deal with that, right? Now, this is what I could coach ADHD children as well. I'm not even bothering, because I tell you, half of the ADHD diagnostic in children, for me, is just not accurate. But then again, when it becomes to the adults, the entire NHS system, and not only the NHS, everywhere in the world, it is a slow fucking process to even get the diagnosis, because
Yeah.
children, somebody just acts up in school, within 3 weeks he sees an ADHD specialist and he's in fucking medication. An adult says, I don't know why I'm struggling, my life is just a mess, has to wait 3.5 years to even get a bloody diagnosis, which something is really wrong here, because obviously the adult is supposed to be productive and he is actually suffering. A child doesn't even recognize that most of the time. When I was 6 or 7, do you think I recognized I was ADHD? No, I was just hyper. I was just all over the place, right? But I didn't suffer from that. I suffered from it when I became adolescent, and then afterwards, that's when I started to suffer. And, you know, that's where I think it's just ridiculous how everything is just brushed off nowadays. We don't even look at these things. And then what happens with ADHD, so many people, there were these secondary symptoms that come up with it, depression, everything, because people get frustrated. And of course they get depressed. So then we give them antidepressant, but that's not the core issue here. The core issue is ADHD. Hello, wake up call, right? So I don't believe the entire system is broken. Now, people saying to me, like, yeah, but you're not a psychologist. No, I'm not. Luckily, I'm not, because I don't even believe in it, most of it. But I'm certified in CBC, which is cognitive behavior coaching, not T, because I'm not a therapist. But actually, the CBC has basically the same certificate. I do the same
Yeah.
fucking course. I did exactly the same bloody course, just with the difference that I am not a psychologist, and I don't even want to be one. Like the other one last week, I just completed my IFS level 3 certification, which is the internal family system. I'm sure you know about what Dr. Schwartz does. Well, I am an IFS practitioner, not an IFS therapist. However, I use the same fucking system, and it comes because Dr. Schwartz obviously is a psychiatrist, and I use the same bloody therapy system. And I have to say, it is a therapy system to unburden people from their different parts they have. But I'm not a therapist, and I'm very open about it. And then people go to you like, yeah, but how are you then qualified? And I'm like,
Oh, drives me mad, don't.
I can't even answer to that, because as I said, I have done the same bloody course. The only difference is at the end, I don't get the therapist certificate, I get the practitioner certificate, which is the same fucking thing. Just I'm sitting with the therapists in the same classroom. Hello?
I know.
What part of that you don't understand? It's just the same course. There's not a special therapist and a special practitioner course. It's both the same. We go both through the same training. Just the qualification at the end is the different one, but it's only the certificate itself. The test is the same. Everything goes the same.
Wording. Different wording.
So, and that's why people don't see that. And they say, like, okay, fine, I'm a better therapist. And I'm like, yeah, but the therapist, and I think that's where what drives me insane here was coaching in general, is what people don't understand. We as coaches, we are more focused on the present and the future and the goal setting, while the therapist goes to the past and tries to figure and fix the past, which I'm very honest to you, is very difficult. Because past is the past. You can't change the fucking thing that happened, can you? You can change the mindset on it. You can change the vision on it, which I do with IFS, because we're going to find your exiled part that is maybe still 4 or 5 years old, that sits there, and you have your two protectors sitting there, you know, your normal protector, the manager, and the firefighters on the other side that just jump in and just make you the erratic things that you do. Yes, they are in the past, but we still focusing on the here. The idea is to bring you from the past and bring you into the now, into the present, and unburden them in the present. And I'm not unburdening them in the past, but the therapist tries to unburden them in the past.
Yeah,
which is kind of silly, because I found it really interesting when I did IFS, because Dr. Schwartz said, like, if you're not really comfortable unburdening them in the present, you should switch back to your traditional therapy system, which I think lovely. So now we're going back again, like the therapists, and they go like, yeah, so what do you feel about that incident?
well, it was fucking awful. That's what I feel about it.
Exactly, that's what I feel about it. Exactly, it was not really nice, was it? But I can't fucking change it, can I? I can take this exile part of myself, because, you know, IFS basically telling you that everybody is multi-personality, right? We all are. And actually it's really easy, and it's actually very effective, IFS. But it's not that easy, because you have all these protectors constantly coming up and talking to you, and then you have to say, push them on the side, or actually ask them to sit in the waiting room, and then you're trying to talk to a target part that you're trying to talk. And there are multiple parts. It's not like only 3. They're categorized into the manager, that is the one that tries to manage everything around you. But the focus is to bring yourself the self that is not a part into the room and get space for the self and get these ones, unburden them of their work and try to get the exile part that is scared of the two protectors and that always acts up with the emotion. That's when the emotions come out and tries to get overwhelmed by the emotions. Try to get this exile part out of whatever past it sits, and probably it's sometimes 4, 5, 6 years old. It actually still thinks it's 6 years old. It's just that in your brain sitting there. And we bring that in and we bring it out and we say, okay, we bring you now into the present. We unburden you of it. We bring you into present. And what would you like to do? Now you don't have the job anymore. And how would you feel if we take you off this hard work, right? So very interesting to do that. But when they go with these, this is one I think with therapists sometimes, I'm just like thinking like, it doesn't help me to talk about it. It actually makes me feel miserable when we're talking about it, right? Because you're not really addressing the issue itself. You're not unburdening the issue. You're just pounding around and trying to flatten it out. And I'm a big NLP person, yes, but what I've really recently questioned in NLP, and I think it's a very interesting thing here, is how in NLP we try to override the neural networks. That's actually what we do with NLP. We override.
Yeah.
We're doing the override, right? And that's where there is a time and place for override. And don't get me wrong, that is good. But with IFS, we actually not overwriting it. We're addressing it and bringing it out into the present. I mean, I asked you in an IFS therapy and I said, okay, so like, well, I do feel stupid. She's just stupid. You would say to me, and I said, okay, and so the part that's talking to me right now thinks you're just stupid, right? So I'd like to, with your permission, can I talk to the part? And you would say, yeah, go ahead. And I'm like, okay, so the part that is saying you're stupid or Kellyanne is stupid, where do you feel that right now? Where do you feel it? And you said, oh, we're sitting in my throat. So I said, okay, fine, sitting in your throat. And that's where you actually get the somatic feelings as well, the physical feelings. And so we're trying to address all that and we're trying to address it. And I said, okay, so have you met Kellyanne yet today? And I said, how old do you think you are? And they go like, oh, I'm 14. And I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough, you're 40. And it's just what comes up. It's not even bringing that into your mouth. It comes up. Actually, when you listen to yourself, you hear it actually. And then I've tried to bring up the conversations. However, and as I said, we're unburdening this entire process out and we're not overwriting it anymore. Where NLP is good, a temporary fix and an override. And certain things, limiting beliefs, can be very well overwritten with NLP. I figured that during coaching processes, I get way better results with IFS because they all have a traumatic experience somehow.
Yeah.
And then people say, oh, I don't have a trauma. And I love that when you have a client that says, oh, I don't have a trauma. And I go like, okay, fine, fair enough. And then when you start doing IFS with them, and suddenly all these protectors popping up in everywhere, and they're all in different ages, and they all have different incidents to tell you. And I'm like, so you didn't have any traumatic experience, did you? It's kind of funny. You can't even say that because obviously you're undermining the client, but you wouldn't. But you go in your head, and it's like this. And I actually have to do IFS on my own all the time. I do it. Actually, I check in with my parts after each session with a client, because sometimes a client might trigger one of my parts that is normally quite level now, but sometimes they trigger that. And then I check in with my parts and I said, how did you feel about that? And I go something, what an idiot. And I said, okay, so you're judgmental again. So the part that is judgmental right now, what are you trying to protect right now? And why do you feel like this? And it's just really funny how I do it. And I write it down myself. I write it down in the book. This is what I love about IFS as well, because Dr. Schwartz insists that you actually do it yourself.
Yeah.
Always do it yourself. And you keep checking in the parts, because the parts are not, I get the space. You see, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here anymore today, because otherwise I wouldn't be wouldn't be through my trauma myself. It's just because I did the work. And
Mm-hmm.
when I do that with clients, obviously my parts might not feel really happy about something that was said. It's like, and I find fascinating. But it comes to the thing. This is how people are conditioned, and they don't even see the value.
It's
Kellyanne,
crazy.
they don't see the value. They actually tell you, like some of the executives, they said, "Oh, I don't need help.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine." And they're at the verge of the burnout, and you just think like, ah, okay, fine. Yeah, it's like you don't need the help. But then they call you when they're in the clinic,
Yeah,
and they
but
say,
that's
"Oh,
it, isn't it?
how can you fix it?" Like, well, it's not fixable anymore. You just fucked it up already, didn't you?
But that is it, isn't it? That's the two bits, isn't it, about the cycle of change? The only way that you'll break it is either crisis point or actually being freaking bloody honest with yourself. And how many people, especially people like that, want to be honest with themselves? They don't.
No.
So they'll wait till it goes mental.
They think, and I think that's where the rationale comes from. They think that because they are at the top of the echelon, they actually know it. They know everything. They
Untouchable.
know how to be successful. What they don't even see is that they completely forget about their self-care. They don't
Yeah.
even know. They don't even know what is wrong with them. And as I said, they don't even know who they are. They don't even see the limits anymore. And I mean, we do it ourselves. I just told you, I was like exhausted. And I think like, why am I doing that to myself? But you see,
Yeah.
this is the difference with us as coaches. We question it.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
say, what have I done this week that exhausted me to this point? I know what I did. And I know exactly what I'm going to do the next day. So, because I need to burn out. Well, I did right immediately. I said, listen, waitlist only now. I'm just too much
Yeah.
because some of them coming out as well to the end of the coaching
Mm-hmm.
contract. So the question is now, are they going to continue? So I don't even want to take on anybody else because you don't know. Some of them, I do think they need a few more sessions than
Yeah.
they're having right now, right? But they don't even question that. And it's just sometimes I'm just like, wow, how can you be so oblivious to the actual fact? You see, you look in their face and you see they're absolutely at the breaking point.
Yeah.
And they still think, oh, they can cover. Yeah, I'm busy. I'm stressed. Yeah, it's end of the year. It's all this. And I'm like, excuses. I only hear like, excuses. I'm like, when the hell are you actually going to say, I need fucking help? Well, why you even did the clarity call right now? That's what I'm asking sometimes. I say like, so if you don't need help, why are you calling?
Yeah. Do you know what though? I see it so much in the military. Like it's insane because you see these high flyers and like they're all these high ranks and they're this, they're that, the other, and it just becomes that part of their identity. But you see them and they're logging on as soon as they get home and they're still in work when it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and you just can't live that way. And I've kind of always, because I've seen that and kind of, I'm like you, I will question myself and what I'm doing because I'm not doing that for nobody. The only reason that I would ever do that is if it's something that I wanted to do for myself or for somebody that I cared about. But like you see them, and there's a lady that I know who's about ready to leave. Like literally, she's signed off, ready to go, and she's working all weekend. And I'm like, you do know when you take that uniform off, nobody's going to give a shit that you worked every single weekend, that you drove all over the country to do this, that, and the other. But because it's so ingrained into them and that's their identity, and then that's why they've got to where they are. Like, I just find it so
And
sad.
and
Yeah.
and it's just like
It's hideous.
we were talking about it yesterday, Lisa and I was talking about how oblivious people are as well about the universe. I mean, in general, right? So they really think we are the only fucking intelligent thing in this fucking universe, and I'm like, how ridiculous is that?
Arrogance.
I mean, it's like, I
That
mean,
is just
seriously, it's like
arrogance.
in 1600s, it was a flat disc.
Exactly.
We figured out it's not a flat disc anymore. Then it was a globe.
Just drop off the end.
Yeah, and then we figured out it was a globe, and we figured out there was a planetary system. Now we've figured out that one of the planets is not even a planet; it's a fucking star. So we have thrown one out of the planetary system now. And how far can we look in the universe? We know there's the Milky Way, but we don't even know how far that is. We can't even go further right now. We don't have the fucking equipment. There are stars that are billions of years away. They might not even exist anymore because it takes so long to fucking to reflect to us. They just disappear. Boom, they were gone. So you see, we don't even know where we are in this entire black hole that is surrounding us here, right? So how arrogant are we, and how stupid are people to believe? And they say like, oh, I don't believe in aliens. And I'm like, really? You don't?
You are one.
You are one.
To somebody else, you are one.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, somebody's probably looking down at us and sees us as like this big
primitive.
No, but like the Ents, when we look at Ents, like this mountain of Ents, they just look down at us and think like, look at these Ents, these stupid.
What are these robots down there?
Yeah,
doing?
they're all running around like crazy. Every time when I fly and I look down and I see, you know, when you're a certain level, you can actually still see people, and you actually it looks like Ents. It looks like Ents, like cars, like Ents. Everything is driving around. It's just really funny, and I think like somehow, and I think this is just being 30,000 feet in the air, right? Yeah. So we're not even high. So think about somebody sitting up where I don't know where they are in the universe, and they're looking down at us, and I think like, really, but having this arrogance to believe that we are the center of the universe. I'm like, seriously?
Absolutely not.
Seriously. They don't, and that is just like, that's why we think we know everything about everything, and we know everything how it works. But then at the end, you can see how stupid we are, because the bloody little virus was killing millions of people. And it showed us really well how much we are in control. Like, zip, we are in control of nothing. We are in control of fucking nothing. Look how big this virus is, the size of it, and what it did to this planet. And that's why, like, switch on your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
But then again, isn't that too much asked from people, really, Kellyanne? Because if they can't even fucking see themselves, how are we expecting them to see something else?
And they don't. That's the problem, isn't it? Because, you know, if you're not aware of yourself, you don't really give a crap about what's going on with other people and kind of the situation around you, do you really? So it has to start within them. But how do you, like for us, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So you can suggest a bit of coaching or whatever, but if they're not willing to have that self-awareness and accept it and realize that they need to learn these things and they need to grow and they need to do better, like we can all be better, but there's too many people that don't think they can.
And that is what I always find it funny when they come up to prize or whatever, and I'm like, but what is your happiness value to you? Seriously. Yeah. What is the value of your happiness? Is it worth 300, 3,000, 30,000? What is the value to it?
Mm-hmm.
And they can't even answer that. And I just like, I'm seriously, I'm like, what the hell? But you're buying your cigarettes and everything, or the alcohol, to numb it. That's why one of the protectors is what the firefighter is like, numb it.
Yeah.
So we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Oh, I was a number.
Yeah, and you numb the thing down. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong. I drink not a bottle of wine, but I drink a glass of wine once in a while. I mean, I bought
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I'm sitting here. It's like I have a glass of wine. That's okay, but I'm not numbing my feelings down. And when you look at that, they will not even invest in a bit of coaching here and say, well, hang on a minute. If I can fix these problems, that will be worth way much. Thinking about as well how much money they save eventually,
Yeah.
because
100%. And that's what I did through, you know, we've spoke about it before when I was suffering from anxiety and panic attacks. Like I couldn't deal with the feeling of it, so I would just drink through it because I thought that's the only way I'm going to get sleep tonight. Because every time I went to bed without having a drink, it would feel like I'm falling, like constantly feel like I was falling over and over again. You know, so I like, and you know, I don't know about yourself whether you've done it in the past as well with whatever it is, you know, that you've used to numb stuff.
oh, I
But
have
we've
used
been
lots
there. But we've
different
been
things.
there.
Yeah, of
And I
course.
think that's the huge thing is that, like, you can say, I have 100% been there, made it through to the other side. And actually, there's a better way of living and a better way of being. And kind of people like you and I, that's what we're here for. You know, like, I don't think I would ever have even considered doing this had I not been through sort of those experiences.
Hmm.
So, you know, it's,
But you're absolutely right there, and that I think that is why we're sitting here as coaches and say, well, we have been through this crap, so we know there is another side. Actually, you know, and there we know there is a
100%.
way. And we did obviously we had to go through trial and error, um,
Yeah.
which took us a bit longer. But now we're giving you that on a silver platter. All these things that we have learned and did our trial or errors, we actually avoiding you the trial and errors if you do coaching and go with a
Yeah.
coach, because we can take you through this crap um, without having to do the next 5 years trial and error here. Um, but then again, as I say, you know, if you're not even self-aware that you have an issue, what you want me to
Yeah.
do? I cannot, as I say, I can take you to the water, but I cannot make you drink.
Yeah.
I cannot force you here. Um, it just, I don't know. Yeah, I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating that, but the majority of people are like this, Karen, and that's the big problem, actually. I
It's
think.
so sad. It
Mm,
is sad, you know. Like I always find it really interesting. Like I'm a massive fan of Joe Dispenza. And I could sit and watch his stuff or listen to his stuff like all day long. But like when you sit and look at it, he says things like we've got what 60 to 70,000 thoughts going through our head every single day. Yet 95% of what we think and what we do is on automation. And I'm like, shit.
loops.
Yeah, how lucky are we that we understand that and we make a conscious effort to live differently and do things differently. So I just think people need to, I don't know. I'll maybe find a system of that, of getting it out there somehow and making people a bit more aware of what the hell is really going on in their lives. I don't know
But
how yet.
yeah, because I think they don't believe you. Actually, and that's the biggest problem because they're not even aware of their own problems, so they don't even believe you. And that I think is really the painful part of it, because
Yeah.
you can say what you want, and they go like, "Nah, but that's not really affecting me." But then you go like, "Look at your life."
Conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory.
Seriously, exactly. Now these coaches are trying to do conspiracy, Josie. I'm like, really?
They're stealing our money. They don't know what they're talking about. You see it all the time, don't you?
Yeah, it's like, okay, fine. It's like you go into these forums sometimes, and I go like, really? And don't get me wrong, we talked about it, Amanda and Tony, after these coaches that don't have a fucking clue, which I
Yeah.
find is a good thing to do, because there are a lot of these ones as well out there. But then you see, this is the difference between us. We already in 1 hour. Look, we just talked through it. this is the funny thing, Ken, where we say coaches like us, we show up, and despite the mess that happens in our life, despite being tired or exhausted and overworked, we still show up, and we are authentic here. We're talking about it. We talk about our struggles and everything. And you can, if you're an informed customer, I don't even say customer, informed client or informed person, you can see when it's just a bloody marketing gag.
Oh God, yeah.
Or when it is genuine by a coach. So you can have an informed choice, right? There's nobody's stopping you to watch any of the videos that we have done. And we just don't have stupid Facebook ads. Actually, we're not even doing Facebook ads because I don't believe in that. It's just this, yes, mass thing doing, but I think when you're authentic and showing up, eventually people will trust you way more, because you see, I have my new webpage. I tell my entire bloody life story. I say I've been alcohol, I have alcohol, drugs. I probably had used any drug in the world. Got in trouble with the law when I was really young. Got out of it to fuck it up again. I created so many companies. I failed with so many. Some of them were really successful, and they were really successful. I was in the C-suites. I had a burnout. I have ADHD. I have PTSD. So yeah, I was in a cult. What else do you want to know?
But I think it's so important. It's so important for people to realize that we're not these freaking bead wearing, happy clappy wandering around like, oh, life's amazing. Oh,
great.
Shit gets real sometimes, and it got real for us at certain points. And and I think, what we've got to talk about that, and we've got to be honest about it and actually have opinions. Like, I'm not some doormat that's just going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, you're right. Do you know what I mean? When I'm talking to somebody like a client, like, that's not what we're here for, is it? At the end of the day, you got to be real and here to support people.
That's what it is. And I think that the big point is here being authentic to yourself. It's like, and I always say, you know what? I have thrown it all out there. You know what? I save you some time on Google.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, literally, Google something else that you're procrastinating on. I just tell you everything. So why? What else do you want to know about me? But I have been through the shit, so I know where you're heading with your alcohol consumption. I know where you're heading with your drug consumption. And I know that the next one is the copper at your door. So you know what? I can tell you exactly what happens. So I've been through the shit. I will tell you right now, right? But when people don't listen to that, they even, as I said, you said, they're oblivious to even the fact that there is a problem. And that is, but I don't understand how they're so blindfolded, because they must look in the morning in the mirror and look like that. They look like crap.
Zombie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not taking any drugs or whatever, and I just worked a lot this week, and I look at myself right now in the camera and I say, "You look like crap." I mean, literally, I look tired. I can see, I need to get now. It's time for the facelift. Actually,
I need my top up next week.
Oh my
Getting
God,
all wrinkly again.
This is my area here. It's my lazy eye, and I need to. Somebody said to me, "It's really, you can do that with just what is called
thread lift."
Thread lift, yeah.
Yeah. They do fox eyes, don't they? Where they lift it. Yeah, the place that I go to in Windsor's really good.
Windsor, okay. You have to tell me. Okay, is it painful?
So I usually only get. Well, we're off on tangent now, aren't we? So I always get my Botox and I get my lips done. Right. Botox is fine. Does not hurt at all.
Okay.
This.
Lips, I can imagine. Yeah, I don't need to do with lips. I don't need that one. I'm not going to become an Instagram queen.
Not yet.
No, yeah. Talking about yesterday to Lisa, I said, I don't do Instagram. I don't do this. I can't. You did it really well. You did it really well for our picture there. It's like really great, but I can't do that honestly. But this one I want to get. I want to get rid of that one here.
Yeah, they do loads of stuff. They do
Yeah.
really. They're very, very good. All the
But
Christmas deals are out as well, and Black Friday.
okay, but does it hurt the thread?
I don't think so. The girl that I go to is brilliant. I'll send you the link on Facebook.
Please do so. I think it's time. It's like now I'm 50. I think now I have an excuse to do it. Actually, yeah. It's like this is really annoying me. It's just like yeah, getting old. I have this instant facelift stuff that is really good actually when I put it on. It's like really like it, but it only lasts for a day, whatever, But it's really good. It actually,
Yeah,
but you can feel how it just
tightens it all.
tightens it up, right? And I bought that actually in China. You go figure.
Okay. Oh,
But,
I'm growing old disgracefully, me. Not gracefully, disgracefully.
Disgracefully, that's okay, fine. Anyway, that was our hour. You stay online for a minute, and we have next week. We have Kathy Tijanau, the CEO of the Go Giver Alliance. So the sidekick of Bob, actually,
Bob's
Bob's sidekick. He calls her 99. So 99. Yeah. And this is going to be amazing because she's going to talk about the Go Giver and the Go Giver Alliance. And I think she is as important to the Go Giver as Bob himself, who wrote the book. She's been the last 12 years, I think, been running the company and everything. So really excited to have her next Tuesday. So tune in next Tuesday if you're watching a replay, and wishing you a great week. Bye. End the broadcast. Okay, now if my mouse works. I see. Actually, do you know we have no problem today? Actually, it's so surprising.
Don't jinx it.
End broadcast.